Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode 72. Today is something super special. You get a sneak peek into our course, This R.E.P.P.E.L.S Burnout. And so today we're talking with a student of the course. Her name is Samantha. She will tell you about herself here in just a few minutes, but we're going to talk with her about the course and how it's helped her, not just as a teacher, but as a mom and as a wife, and just being her own self. I'm really excited for you to hear this conversation and for you to learn more about our course, This R.E.P.P.E.L.S Burnout, because our mission is to help as many teachers and as many caregivers as we can to feel aligned and well in harmony. I used to say balanced, but balanced isn't really true, right? We're not on a one of those old time scales, and we're trying to balance our work life with our home life and have it be equal. That's not really realistic. So rather than saying a life in balance, I think rather we can think about a life in harmony, something that feels aligned and we feel good about. So we're going to get to that in just a minute. But before we get to that conversation, I just want to mention that in the show notes, you're going to find a link to our webinar. And that webinar is today. By the way, it's completely free, completely free. So go sign up for that webinar. It is today, January 12th at 7 p.m. Central Time. But don't worry, if you can't make it live, still sign up. You'll get the replay sent directly to your inbox so that you can watch it at your own leisure. And if you're listening to this, maybe after the webinar's happened, you can still sign up for our This R.E.P.P.E.L.S Burnout course until mid to end of January. So you'll be able to find that as well. And if you have ever any questions, if this is maybe later and maybe you have questions, you want to join the course, you're not sure where to look, go find us on Instagram at the Teacher Mamas Podcast and send us a message, and we'd be happy to chat with you. So, but as for today, the webinar link is in our show notes. So without further ado, I am so excited for you to hear our conversation with our student, Samantha. So Samantha, tell us about yourself and what led you to join this R.E.P.P.E.L.S Burnout.
Well, I am a high school special education teacher. I have been for 6 years now. Moved up from elementary general ed teaching. And I personally have not felt burnout at this point yet. But knowing the environment of teaching right now, and with so many teachers hitting burnout, especially in special education, being proactive for myself was a big reason that I joined the R.E.P.P.E.L.S Burnout course.
I love that, because this course is not just for teachers who have hit burnout, but for teachers who are just looking to put extra tools in their tool belt so that they are not going to hit burnout. Like, if you want to continue in the teaching career, I think at this point in our lives, where we are as a society, like, we need to do more than just what is being done right now for ourselves to not hit burnout. So what is one lesson or strategy that you implemented while going through the course that you've continued using over and over and over, even months later?
So the biggest one was the journaling. I, of course, had journaling in the past, but I recently created my own planner for my morning routine. And the morning questions that came out of the journaling lesson are in that planner.
I love that.
Actually, the evening questions are there too. I just haven't gotten the evening routine down at this point.
Sure.
To really get to those.
I have a harder time with that too, to be honest. I'm really good in the morning, and then by the end of the day, my routine, especially with journaling, like, that's the first thing to go off my list. But I will say, and this is kind of just a little hack, I guess. One thing I've done then is when I don't journal the night that night, I add it to my morning routine and answer those questions from the day before. And it kind of, I mean, the same benefit is still there. It just is one more thing in the morning. But I've found that that makes me feel better because I love checking things off my list. And if I don't get it done the night before, then I feel good about getting it done in the morning still, and I still reap those benefits. But
Matt's going through that lesson right now too in the course, and that's one thing that we're trying to get implemented into our nighttime routine as well. Back in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So would you say that the journaling lesson or unit was your favorite, or is there a different one maybe that is your favorite or that you got the most out of?
Within the positive week, there was the calendar audit lesson. And I really liked going point by point through my year at that point. And I haven't done it at the end of the year yet, but I am prepared to do it.
Yeah.
Can you explain because that's actually our freebie right now with the new year. So can you explain to people, because I think when we say calendar audit, like Roberta and I obviously know what it is, you know what it is now, but when we say it to like most of the general public, people are like, I don't know what that is. Could you explain it to people?
Sure. So a calendar audit, you're really going like piece by piece through your year that you've already experienced and done, and picking out what things you liked spending your time on, what's things you probably wouldn't spend your time on anymore, what things added value to your life, what things didn't, where you want to spend more of your time. For me, I went through and just like focused month by month. What were things we did that month, and got all that out on paper first, and then really went through and did the what added value, what did we enjoy doing, what do we want to do more of, versus what wasn't valuable, what do we want to do less of.
Yeah. Did you ever do the pictures as well? Because I know Roberta and I like going through our pictures as well. And like, sometimes we have things in our pictures that we didn't put in our calendar, and it kind of like sparks some memory. And we're like, oh, yeah, that was super awesome. Did you ever go through your pictures as well?
No, I didn't. Well, I shouldn't say that. The last couple, earlier this school year, Google told me that my photos memory was full. So I had to go through and get rid of a bunch of my workout videos and all of those like 3-4-year-old playing with your phone, weird pictures and videos that just automatically saved to Google.
Oh, okay. So, why should other teachers join our free webinar that's going on tonight? This is going to be highlighting what's in our course. Why do you think teachers should join that free webinar tonight?
I think really seeing exactly what is in the course, because the title is very broad. The course covers a lot of different things that you can implement in your life to help out with your own self-care, which your own self-care is what helps you in your professional life. So really just seeing all of those different parts that they could implement and which ones they would be interested in.
Yeah, because I think there's a lot of stuff in the course, and some of it may not resonate completely with people, and that's okay. Like, I know, like, neither one of us did all this stuff all at once. Like, this is all stuff that we've picked up over the last couple of years. And so, like, just coming on tonight, seeing what it's about, seeing what resonates with you, seeing what doesn't. But I can promise you guys, like, there's going to be plenty of stuff in our course that is going to resonate with you. And honestly, whether you are a teacher or any other caregiver, it's just a lot of the things within the course or examples are for teachers. So
yeah. But I think that's a really good point to reframe a little bit here. There's a lot of different strategies, and as teachers, we know that one size doesn't fit all, and that's the same with ourselves. And so there are strategies that work for me really well to help prevent burnout in my own life and to keep me centered and in harmony with all of the different areas in my life. But those same things might not be applicable to Samantha and Ashley. Our routines and our systems are different, but we have been able to use the course in our own ways to come up with what works for us as the individual person. And that's the point is looking at the teacher, looking at us as individuals, as a person, and not just a teacher.
Yeah. And also just because like you may not resonate with something right now doesn't mean that you won't use it later on down the road. And the cool thing is you get lifetime access to it. So you can always come back to it later. If you're growing every day as a person, as a teacher, as a mom, as a dad, whoever's listening to this, right? You're growing every day. And so as you grow, you need different tools, new tools to help you along the way. So that's what I really enjoy about it.
Mhm.
And it's so nice being exposed to all of those different strategies, so that when you hit a point of struggling with something, you can go, oh, wait, I learned something about this. And you can go back and re-watch and listen to that lesson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know I do it all the time.
You know, and that's just it. Sometimes when we're in those heightened places, it's like, I can't remember the strategies. I think my
Yeah.
analogy that I've used before on the podcast is with my migraines. When I have a migraine all of a sudden, and because my head hurts, it's pounding. I can't think. I cannot think of all of the strategies that I know help, like grabbing an ice pack out of the freezer and putting it on the back of my neck. I know that helps. But in the midst of a migraine, I'm not remembering that. So I
Mhm.
have a list written down, and I can remember to at least go look at the list. Or the list is somewhere where someone else in the household can remember and help out. But just having somewhere to go to remind ourselves so that we don't have to remember everything all the time. It's there as a resource to look back at and not force ourselves to remember everything all the time. So I think we mentioned this a little bit, but maybe we can go in more depth. But has the course, This R.E.P.P.E.L.S Burnout, Samantha, helped you in other areas of your life? So aside from teaching.
Definitely. A lot with home life, with husband conflicts, with parenting, um, with dealing with other family members, extended family members,
Mhm.
um, as well as my side gig. Um, really being able to put those different strategies in play in every area of my life.
Mhm.
And a lot with parenting, especially coming off of winter break.
Why, I don't know what you're talking about. So, okay, where do you think you would be today in your educational career if so now just to put this in perspective, Samantha went through our course this summer and it is now January. So where do you think you would be today in your educational career if you hadn't gone through our course this summer before school started?
Well, so I have one of my classes right now completely prepped out, probably a couple months ahead at the moment. Um, and I think without like the stuff that focused really on prep time,
Mhm.
um, I don't think I would be in that position.
Nice.
And I mean, it's a class that like it's brand new curriculum, so I'm
Mm.
creating everything.
Mhm.
Being able to really focus during prep times and be able to really get those things created.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
So what would you say is just pick one strategy you've implemented to help you with your prep times? What's something you started this year that's helped you be able to prep this far ahead?
Really like getting myself a space that's quiet and focused. So this year specifically, I'm sharing a classroom with another teacher. We don't share the same prep. So she has a group of kids. It's only like 4 kids in our room during my prep, but that's still enough to be a distraction.
Oh, I would be very distracted.
So as a department, we took back over an office that was ours and it got delegated out. We asked for it back this year and we got it back. So most of us use that office for our prep. So it's
awesome.
Prep specific space.
I love that, because one thing that we actually talk directly about in our course is taking responsibility for things, and not like in a negative way, like saying, oh, I'm a terrible person because I let this happen, blah blah blah. No, just like notice that there's a problem and like find a solution to help fix it, instead of, I know when if we are in a position where we're surrounded by like really negative people all the time at school, it's really easy to get sucked into that and then let the whole I not in control of anything and I just am going to play the victim and just like let things be as they are, and not actually take responsibility for anything and try to problem solve. So I love that you took that lesson into account as well, and you were like, hey, here's a problem that we can all solve together, and you did that. So that's really cool.
And it, like, taking back the office, it gets used at least 2-3 hours of the day.
Nice.
Because then the teacher that the office is off of her room, I use her room to teach during her prep. So, because sharing a classroom and both of us trying to teach large classes in the same classroom doesn't work.
Right. So we have workbooks for our students, and then we also do weekly Zoom calls, which you got to do both as well in our first round. Were either of those helpful? Were they both helpful for you in actually taking action in the course? And then what was the most helpful for you to keep you on track?
I would say they were both very helpful, because the workbooks I was able to individually sit down and really think through the activity or the questions on an individual basis and then come back to it later if I needed to. And then the weekly Zoom calls really helped to like verbalize those things. And just sometimes verbalizing brings up other things you didn't think of when you were writing, as well as the conversation between all of us of, well, what about this? Or, well, how would that look differently if you did something like this?
Yeah, one thing I specifically remember kind of going in depth with you about was the prep time stuff. And because it was summer, I know it was like hard for you to kind of go through that lesson, because you're like, I don't really want to think about school right now. But then, and you were even like thinking about your year ahead because you knew it was going to be a little bit challenging co-teaching. And then just like sitting down with us and working through how are you going to actually get your prep time in, what strategies are you going to use to make sure that you're using it efficiently, and all that kind of stuff. So I think you're right on the spot there.
Yeah. And along with that, coming off of the year before, my prep was on top of my lunch. So it was always that how to define the line between the two when I wasn't letting go a group of kids to go to lunch. which lunch is my issue this year because I share a room and she's on the opposite schedule than I am for fourth hour. So she's got a group in the room during my lunch. I don't necessarily like going to the lounge because I don't want to fall into the negative talk. I mean, they do have rules in our lounge of you're not supposed to talk shop.
Really? I love that.
You know, that doesn't always stay in.
No.
Yeah.
So my challenge this year is really making my lunchtime be lunchtime, focusing on eating and just turning off of being teacher for that half hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when she's got a challenging group in there at that time.
That would be a good time to throw your earbuds in and listen to a podcast.
And I do that.
Yeah, that's
a couple of her kids are so loud that I'm just like,
yeah. I get that.
It's a junior high study hall.
Yes.
I just watch it.
Junior high does not study in study hall.
Oh, I just watch them going, I don't want to loop back down in 2 years. My juniors I've had since they were sixth graders. I don't want to go back there.
Funny. Well, our final question here, for those listening who are saying that they just don't have the time or the money to dedicate to a 7-week course with us, what would you tell them?
Well, as far as time, most of the lessons are laid out well enough that if you only have 10 minutes, you can get through a video or at least get to a spot that it's like a natural break, and then pick it up at another time. Most of them are fairly short. There's a few that get a little long because they're more in depth about a topic, but most of the videos are fairly short. And it's really easy to listen to that as if it were a podcast.
Yeah.
And get your house cleaning done, or watch the kids on the playground, or the wrong time of the year for that. But it's easy enough to just kind of listen to it for the most part. There's a few that there's activities in the middle of, and for it being a 7-week course, that you also get that weekly Zoom meeting with the creators of the course. It is quite cheap compared to some of the courses out there that are of this length or even shorter. I know I've looked into a few and been like, yeah, no, can't pull $2,000. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. So Roberta and I wanted to make it very reasonable for people, and we didn't offer this before because there was actually quite a big there was a discount when you signed up, but we actually have a payment plan set up this launch. So even if you're thinking like I can't put down the full amount, you could definitely hit up the payment plan, and it's I can't remember if we decided on 3 or 4 months worth, but Roberta is in charge of that, and it's very reasonable for a monthly charge. Like, I know a lot of people who spend a lot more money on a lot of different things that they're not going to get value from like this. So
yeah.
Yep. So, and all of that information will be in the webinar and we have a website that has all of this information about the course, about our modules, and that's where you'll see our R.E.P.P.E.L.S method, which is we've been referencing a lot tonight. And we talk in depth on that website about each module and a summary of what it contains, and that can be really helpful. The price information will be all right there. If you come to the webinar, there will be a special little bonus that
Mhm.
you will have access to. So coming to the webinar or having the replay will be very beneficial. Why don't we just end with each of us saying something we're grateful for in this season of our life. So for me, I'm super grateful for a snowblower because we were able to snowblow a path around the perimeter of our yard, and that allows me to still get outside and go on walks and take the dogs on walks every day. And kind of an added bonus because there's like some wind protection on my legs because the snow's so high right now. I have this nice little shielded path as we go through. So I'm super grateful for that right now.
I'd say I'm also grateful for, as crappy as like this winter has been for us so far, it's been quite beautiful. Our trees have been like white this entire winter and just like have that frost on them. They're very pretty. And I've actually become more acclimated to the cold than I have in years past. So I'm very grateful for that as well. So I can get my butt outside more because that is something that we also talk about in our course and how important that is for our mental and emotional health and physical health, all the good stuff. So that's what I'm grateful for. How about you, Samantha?
I'm gonna kind of go the same direction of I'm kind of grateful that even though like the month of November, really, we started getting snow in November,
Yeah.
has been so snowy. It makes for really easy entertainment
Yeah.
for the kid and the dog.
Yep.
And
Yep.
yes, snowblower. We just upgraded our snowblower, and I am very grateful to have been able to do that.
Yeah. That's awesome. Matt just got a plow too. So I'm also very grateful for that. We're still Minnesotan.
Yay. I know. Yeah, for context, it's been snowing. We have over 2 feet of snow. I mean, way more in drifts.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I think it even started snowing in October.
Yeah.
I have dates written
It did.
down.
Yeah, it melted, but
it
it did.
did. Yeah. Yeah.
And
It
I'm
was an
pretty sure
early
we're
year.
supposed to be getting more tonight and tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We've
we've
had
already
lots of snow
had
days.
what, 4 snow days this year?
Yeah, something like
That's
that.
pretty rare for Minnesota. Very
Very
rare.
rare.
We've
We
had
usually
2.
go to school
We've had
come
2.
hell or high water. And here we are on, well, for my school, day 4 of e-learning, I think. So
Yeah.
it's been crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it helped that day before winter break, we were already scheduled off.
Yeah, that's
You
what
guys
it was.
were.
That's our third day. Yeah, that's our
We
third
weren't.
snow day.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, awesome. Thanks so much for being here today, Samantha.
Yes,
Yeah, no
thank you.
problem.
So everyone go sign up for the webinar now. All you have to do is go down to the show notes and click the link, and you'll get an email with information on how to join. And remember, if you can't make the webinar in person, you will get an email the following day with the replay.
Whoop,
So
whoop.
that's right. So we are so grateful for you, our listeners, and we will talk to you again next week.
We want to thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your day to listen to us chat about healthy family living. We would love to hear your thoughts or any ideas you have for future episodes, so feel free to message us at theteachermamaspodcast@gmail.com or the Teacher Mamas Podcast on Instagram. It would also mean so much to us if you would leave a quick rating or review on whatever platform you're listening from.
If something really stood out to you today, don't forget to share it with someone else in your life that might need to hear it too. Spread the word. Please don't forget to share with your online community and tag us. For more positivity and inspiration on how we navigate life and the things we do on a daily basis to stay sane in the crazy, don't forget to go follow each of us on Instagram. Check the show notes for our handles.